Western Europe is the region comprising the westerly countries of Europe. While the term has a geographic context, another main definition developed during the Cold War to describe the countries associated with the Western European Union, a defensive alliance drafted in 1948 among non-communist European nations during the Cold War, as opposed to the countries of the Eastern Bloc. Countries culturally and geographically associated with other European regions that avoided Soviet influence during the Cold War are usually included, while Western members of the former Eastern Bloc are excluded. The United Nations Statistics Division considers Western Europe to consist of just 9 countries, although the United Nations regional groups include European countries from the UN-designated Northern and Southern Europe in its Western European and Others group. Historical divisions, Classical Antiquity and Medieval Origins. As Roman domain expanded, a cultural and linguistic division appeared between the mainly Greek-speaking eastern provinces which had formed the highly urbanized Hellenistic civilization and the western territories, which, in contrast, largely adopted the Latin language. This cultural and linguistic division was eventually reinforced by the later political East-West division of the Roman Empire. The division between these two was enhanced during late antiquity and the Middle Ages by a number of events. The Western Roman Empire collapsed starting the early Middle Ages. By contrast, the Eastern Roman Empire, mostly known as the Greek or Byzantine Empire, managed to survive and even to thrive for another 1,000 years. The rise of the Frankish Empire in the West, and in particular the Great Schism that formally divided Eastern Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism, enhanced the cultural and religious distinctiveness between Eastern and Western Europe. The conquest of the Byzantine Empire, center of the Eastern Orthodox Church, by the Muslim Ottoman Empire in the 15th century, and the gradual fragmentation of the Holy Roman Empire led to a change of the importance of Roman Catholic Protestant versus Eastern Orthodox concept in Europe. Western Europe's significant historical events include the Renaissance, the Age of Discovery, the Protestant Reformation by Martin Luther and the Counter-Reformation of the Catholic Church, the Age of Enlightenment, the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution. Cold War. During the final stages of World War II, the future of Europe was decided between the Allies and the 1945 Yalta Conference, between the British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, the U.S. President, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the Premier of the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin. Post-war Europe would be divided into 2 major spheres, the West, influenced by the United States, and the Eastern Bloc, influenced by the Soviet Union. With the onset of the Cold War, Europe was divided by the Iron Curtain. This term had been used during World War II by German propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels and later Count Lutz and von Krosigk in the last days of the war. However, its use was hugely popularized by Winston Churchill, who used it in his famous Sinews of Peace address on March 5, 1946 at Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri. From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an Iron Curtain has descended across the continent. Behind that line lie all the capitals of the ancient states of Central and Eastern Europe. Warsaw, Berlin, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Belgrade, Bucharest and Sofia. All these famous cities and the populations around them lie in what I must call the Soviet sphere, and all are subject, in one form or another, not only to Soviet influence but to a very high and in some cases increasing measure of control from Moscow. Although some countries were officially neutral, they were classified according to the nature of their political and economic systems. This division has largely defined the popular perception and understanding of Western Europe and its borders with Eastern Europe till this day. The world changed dramatically with the fall of the Iron Curtain in 1989. The Federal Republic of Germany peacefully absorbed the German Democratic Republic, leading to the German reunification. Comecon and the Warsaw Pact were dissolved, and in 1991, the Soviet Union ceased to exist. Several countries which had been part of the Soviet Union regained their full independence. Although the term Western Europe was largely a term of the Cold War, it still remains much in use. The term is commonly used in the media and in everyday use both in Western and other regions of Europe. Western European Union. In 1948 the Treaty of Brussels was signed between Belgium, France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands and the United Kingdom. It was further revisited in 1954 at the Paris Conference, when the Western European Union was established. It was declared defunct in 2011, after the Treaty of Lisbon, and the Treaty of Brussels was terminated. When the Western European Union was dissolved, it had 10 member countries, 6 associate member countries, 5 observer countries and 7 associate partner countries. Intermediate region. The intermediate region is an established geopolitical model set forth in the 1970s by the Greek historian Dimitri Kitsikis. Under this model, the lands between the Adriatic Sea and the Indus River form the intermediate region, and are considered a bridge between Western and Eastern civilizations. United Nations Geoscheme. The United Nations Geoscheme is a scheme devised by the United Nations Statistics Division based on the M49 coding classification, which divides the world into macro-geographical regions and subregions. The Geoscheme for Europe is divided into 4 groups: Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, Southern Europe and Western Europe. Western Europe consists of 9 countries: a Austria, a Belgium, a Germany, a Liechtenstein, a Luxembourg, a Netherlands, a Switzerland. Western European and Others Group. The Western European and Others Group is one of several unofficial regional groups in the United Nations that act as voting blocs and negotiation forums. Regional voting blocs were formed in 1961 to encourage voting to various UN bodies from regional groups. United Nations Statistics Division. The United Nations Statistics Division published in 2011 considers Western Europe to consist of the following countries, except in the case of United Nations regional groups, in which the term also includes Northern and Southern Europe: a Austria, a Belgium, a France, a Germany, a Liechtenstein, a Luxembourg, a Monaco, a Netherlands, a Switzerland. According to the UN Statistics Division, the assignment of countries or areas to specific groupings is for statistical convenience and does not imply any assumption regarding political or other affiliation of countries or territories by the United Nations. European Union. The European Union is an economic and political union of 28 member states that are located primarily in Europe. CIA definition. The CIA divides Europe into various smaller subregions. Population of Western Europe. Population of various countries that were commonly referred to as Western Europe during the Cold War, between World War II and the fall of communism in Europe. See also. References. Sources. External links: the European sub-regions according to the UN, teaching about Western Europe.